Hey, everybody. I am Shay Renee, and this evening we are going to be talking about Below Deck Med, episode 1 and 2. Okay, so I wanted to come on and just kind of give my 2 cents on how this season is going thus far. Now, if you guys have been watching Below Deck from the beginning, you know that this season, season 6, the only two staple cast members are Captain Sandy and the bosun, which is Malia. Okay, now they got rid of my girl Hannah from last season. Hannah is now having a baby. She's had her baby by now. I'm sure she's living her best life. Has a guy that's in commercial real estate. I don't even think Hannah is doing is yachting anymore. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. So there's a bunch of new people on the cast this season. So I wanted to show you guys a brief clip of some of the people that are on the show now. Let me pull it up here now. All right. So you see Malia and Captain Sandy are still there. They kind of greeted each other with a hug when they first came in. Hopefully we'll see what happens with them this season, if they're going to be on some BS or if they're going to team up to go against the new Chief Stew. Now, the new Chief Stew is Katie. Okay. Katie, which her picture will show up shortly. I don't know how I feel about Katie yet. Katie seems like she's gonna be cool. I think she's gonna be okay. Um, Katie is a very hard worker. She talked about as the episode 1 went on, how she went to boarding school. There's Katie here. She went to boarding school. She learned how to be independent very early on. Katie seems like I don't know. It's pretty up in the air how she's going to end up being this season. I don't know how her mood is going to be. She doesn't seem as bossy or um I don't know, temperamental as my girl Hannah was, which I loved Hannah. I think Hannah did what needed to be done to get the job done. But I've seen Katie working pretty hard. She's had some late nights and she's trying to get it done. What I'm really excited about is Z and Lexi. We actually have some people of color on the show this time, guys. So we'll see how this works out. Lexi is on the left, Z is on the right. Lexi was Mrs. Bahamas. I think she was in a pageant in the pageant world. So I'm interested to see how this is gonna go. Z was in the hospitality industry, so that he's no stranger to what's going on here. So really interested to see how this goes. Courtney is the third Stu. Apparently Z has a little crush on her, so we'll see if we have any type of crew romance going on at some point. Um, I'm hoping it doesn't go south because we know how that goes. This is David, another new deckhand on the scene. Um, David, I don't know. I haven't seen very much of him, just seeing that he actually has a little crush on Malia at this point. This deckhand here, I am so embarrassed. I don't remember what his name is, but I'll figure it out, guys. But he is also new to the crew. Then we have, last but not least, the chef, Matthew. Okay. Now, Matthew, I didn't have him on screen here either, but Matthew, I don't know about Mr. Matthew, okay? He already has put a sour taste in my mouth by him not doing what he needs to do to show up for the crew, okay? So starting off, the episode 1 starts off with Malia kind of coming on the scene. She greets Captain Sandy. She's happy to be back on the boat. She's been on a couple of boats, but she kind of goes into her breakup with Tom. If you've watched last season, you know Tom was the chef and Malia actually got him on the show. There's you know uh, you know there's controversy that Tom and Malia's relationship kind of interfered with Hannah and her ability to do her job correctly, and just kind of caused a lot of rifts on the ship. Okay. So they have broken up and she's kind of expressing some of her sadness over that. And she seems to be kind of diving into work to make sure that she can get over that. Okay. Also, Z comes on the scene. So Z is brand new to working on this kind of a boat. So Malia is excited to work with Z because she talked about how she was brand new on the scene with yachting and how she's really excited to be able to teach Z the way that somebody taught her because she started from the bottom up and now she's a bosun. So she's looking at it as a great opportunity to help Z to progress in the industry. Um, then Sandy talked about the crew comes together. Z comes on the boat. Then we see, of course, the chief Sue is there. Katie, she comes on the scene, and then we see it kind of progresses into everybody comes onto the boat, and then Captain Sandy calls a meeting with everybody. So the first thing Captain Sandy, which I thought was kind of shady, is she talks about number one, making sure that everybody reports an injury to her. So if something happens, she wants to be the first one to know that you're injured. The second thing that I thought, this is the part that I thought was shady. If you have any prescription drugs, to make sure that you tell her. Now we know that good Hannah, that's why Hannah was ultimately escorted off the boat because there was a whole BS controversy around some something that she had on the boat that apparently she didn't report, and Captain Sandy was saying it was THC, it was drugs, and you can't have that in the med, whatever the case may be. And we know her little butt buddy Malia, as you guys know, she was the one that snitched on Hannah. Okay, so I thought it was hilarious how Sandy tried to throw that in there to make sure at the beginning that people know, which I get it. You want to make sure that people are aware of what needs to be done initially, which, I can respect that, but I still saw the little shade that went on with that. And then she also talked about no drinking during the charter. Okay. Because I think, so, and some people were alluding to Hannah drinking during the charter as well, but I don't think I remember seeing Hannah drinking during charter, but whatever. Okay. I'm sure all of them do. So then the chef, the provisions come in. So everybody's working together to get the provisions in. The chef ordered all this stuff. So everybody's having, a little bit of an attitude about how all this stuff is coming in. So they're bringing all the stuff on the boat. The chef is, I don't know what's going on with this chef. He was a little weird early on. Okay, like it's too early for you to be acting crazy, and he was just all over the place. Okay, and we know historically the chef is pretty crazy. Um, but Matthew, I don't know what to say about him yet. I guess I gotta really see what's going to happen with him as the season progresses. Okay, so they're bringing all the stuff in, and the chef is complaining of an injury, a knee injury. So all of a sudden, um, he goes to Captain Sandy after all the provisions have been brought in. Everybody's kind of trying to get settled in and get ready for the next day. And he's saying, he can't carry on. He's got to get an MRI stat. Like he is having some type of crazy injury where his kneecap's going to fall off or something. I don't know what the hell. But Captain Sandy was looking at him like, you full of shit. She could, I mean, I'm pretty sure with all of her years of working with people on boats, she's seen it all. And she saw that he literally was faking the funk. But as she stated, you can't say how severe somebody's injury is. So as the captain, she had to do what she needed to do. So she, set it up for him to go and get the MRI that he was asking for. Okay. So Captain tried to figure out what to do. So she ended up calling a local boat and having the sous chef come over. This this was a disaster. Okay, the sous chef came over. Now, surf and turf should be fairly easy. And the sous chef didn't even know how to make lobster. So what are you suing? I mean, what are you doing over at your boat? Like, what are you helping to do? Because even I can make a lobster. Um, I don't know, but Needless to say, before Matthew left the boat, he made lunch, but the dinner was where the sous chef had to come in. And it was absolutely disgusting, apparently, according to the guests. They hated it. The food was terrible. And the first episode ended with the primary expressing how terrible the food was. She literally stated that it was just bad. And I think at one point when Sandy had told them that, she was upfront and she told the guests what was going on with the chef, they had even said, well, I guess you guys are going to be tipping us. So, needless to say, with this food situation, I don't know what their tip going to be looking like at this point. So, then going into the second episode, the guests are super duper drunk. They're doing some crazy yoga poses on Katie, which, you know, being a cast member on this show, or just working in yachting, period, I don't know if I could do all the things that they do to impress these guests. Like, I can't. I feel like there's a certain level of them sacrificing themselves. And what I mean by sacrificing themselves is they literally do whatever, whenever for the guests. And I'm just like, what is the boundary with this? Because I understand that these people are very affluent, they're very rich. Your your tip depends on the services. But how far do we have to go with said services? Okay. So because the guests literally had Katie on her, like, her back, her feet were up, and she was like lifting Katie up. And I'm like, if that lady dropped her, if she got injured, I guess it's all for the love of the tip, child. But I guess you got to do whatever you got to do. But that was that. So Katie, did whatever she needed to do to entertain the guests with their drunk behinds. They finally went to bed. She's up, still cleaning up, and Katie didn't go to sleep until daggone near 3 o'clock in the morning, and had to get right back up at close to, I believe, 8 or 9, which was sad. Okay, so but I guess that's just how yachting goes. You've got to do whatever it takes to get the work done, and to, be a team player. Okay. So she talked about, like I said in the beginning, how she learned how to become very independent, how to take care of herself, and that's what ultimately led her into something like yachting. She wasn't like most people think boarding school is like for bad kids. It's really not. I mean, now some parents utilize that as a way to get their kids to be independent, getting them into boarding school, things like that. But it's really like pre-college. It's like college for younger kids. It really does make you independent, and it does make you grow up. So she talked about how she got herself enrolled into boarding school. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And she said that that's kind of ultimately what helped her to be the independent person that she is now. Then the episode rolls into Lexi talking about herself, where she talked about losing her dad via COVID, and how she couldn't even go and visit her dad. She couldn't even go into the hospital and sit with him, which was very challenging for a lot of people. Unfortunately, I lost my grandmother that way. She had went into the hospital with COVID. She did end up coming out, but because of needed quarantine time, we couldn't go see her. So I kind of connected with her on that level, where that's just really hard. It's really hard to lose a loved one that way and not be able to be with them during that time. So then it goes into Matthew. He got his MRI back. He calls Captain Sandy, and he's talking about the results of the MRI, saying, okay, basically he's okay. He can come back onto the boat. He's still feeling some pain, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Matthew, we see right through you. You bullshitting, okay? But anyway, he comes back on the boat, brings little raggedy ass back. All right. And he basically said that he has really bad anxiety issues, where he single-handedly sabotages himself, apparently. So he'll sabotage himself due to his anxiety. But he's done so many amazing things. He's worked for celebrities. He's as a private chef. He's worked on boats before. But this is just something that just kind of happens. Okay. Which, You're on TV now, and now that other boats kind of see, they're probably going to see, and I don't know if this is just for the show and shock value or whatever, but now people are going to see that this is what you do, and it's going to be hard for you. You pretty much going to be the little boy that cried wolf at this point, because people aren't going to, I don't know if people are going to believe him at this point, if he has a real injury, because there were times I see him not limping, then he's limping, whatever. We don't know whether your injury is true or not. I'm gonna go off of it's true. You said it is, but I think you're full of shit. I don't know. I got to see some more of you, Matthew, throughout the season. But anyway, he single-handedly sabotaged the first day on the boat with the gas for the whole team. Okay, and everybody sees it, everybody knows it. uh he screwed the pooch. That's basically what he did. All right, so Z, then it goes on to Z talking about how much he likes Courtney. So I see that this is probably going to be a little crew romance going on if Courtney likes Z, but we'll see. Hopefully, it's not like these other times where people, obviously it hasn't worked out with people on the boat. Um, we saw on Below Deck Sailing how that went. Somebody got pregnant, and people, I don't know, people not recognizing their babies. I don't know what's going on, but we'll see what happens with Courtney and Z. We'll just see. Courtney goes into uh talking about how she didn't she noticed that the chef's limp was gone when he was in the galley one day. She noticed that he was limping, and then he wasn't. It's just a lot. Okay, so Courtney is hip to the chef. Let's just say that Courtney is not buying the chef is BS. All right, the chef's BS. Okay. um then uh the chef talks to the guests. So the chef comes back on the boat. He starts prepping, getting stuff done, and he's talking to some, mumbo jumbo to Captain Sandy, talking about how he needs to go out and talk to the guests, right? So Captain Sandy is looking at him all weird, like, okay, what are you talking about? Are you cooking? What you gonna do? How you gonna make this up? Are you gonna make the crew some food? We hungry. Okay, what you gonna do? So he's like, I'm gonna go talk to the guests. I know that they're really, this thing has really gone out of hand, and I know I really messed up, and I want to redeem myself. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make some crew food. I'm gonna do all this. So he goes and talks to the guests. The guests are just happy that they're not going to get the throw up food that they had the night before from the sous chef from the other boat, and the crew trying to make it happen. Okay, so he redeems himself. He gets the dinner done, and they enjoy their food. Okay. Then so the guests love the spread. Then they're doing jet skis or whatever, and Z forgot to tie down the jet ski, and this is his first lesson in having to clear up his mistakes, basically. So Malia sends him out to get the jet ski, and he's just feeling some type of way because he's like, oh my gosh, I screwed up. um I don't know what's going on. And then Malia in her confessional talks about how that's something that she did before too. So it was kind of revisiting how, she is really wanting to invest in Z and help him. So next it goes into the primaries. Clint and Carrie, I don't know if they're primaries or co-primaries, I can't remember, but they're getting married. So they had separate they had a bachelorette and a bachelor party. So the Clint, which is the bachelor, he goes off to go fishing, and then Carrie is next to the boat. They're kind of hanging out, doing their own thing. Then they all come back to the boat and to have dinner. Matthew finally makes the crew some food, and Captain Sandy kind of talks to him and says, listen, it's dinner time, but your ass was supposed to make lunch too. So let's just make sure you make lunch and dinner. Okay. So let's make that very clear. So he's like, understood. I'm going to make sure I do this next time. So we'll see if little Matthew does what he's supposed to do. All right. So it goes on to everybody being at the table. They had their dinner. They were enjoying their dinner, but it starts to rain, and it was really windy. Things are blowing away. So they had to relocate to another space on the boat. So they're all, vibing, having a good old time, but they are getting extremely drunk. Okay. So Carrie, which is the bride, she is so embarrassed by Clint because Clint is like literally pissy drunk, and he's like flicking her hair and doing things and just annoying her. So she's not into it. She's not having it. Plus she drunk too. So everybody's noticing it. They're trying to overshadow their, obvious anguish towards one another with the the great tasting food. Okay. So everybody was loving the food, which was a good redeeming factor. Okay. So then Malia and Courtney, as dinner winds down, the guests are going to bed. Malia and Courtney are in the back, kind of bonding over their notice of Matthew limping one day and then not limping the other day, okay, or limping at one point and then not limping. So they're like, so Courtney is just basically like, listen, just do your damn job, sir. I don't have time for all this foolishness. Cook the damn food and let's keep pushing. Okay. Just move on. Right. So Courtney is just not having the BS. Okay. And then Lexi even talks about how she feels like he's faking the funk too. Like, listen, just cook the daggone food. And I'm hungry, by the way. Can you make sure you cook the damn crew food? Because I'm as hungry. Okay. So Lexi is, needlessly flirting with Matthew, by the way, too. And she admits that she's doing it because if there's extra food, she want to be the one to get it if he cooks extra food for the guests. So we'll see. I'm interested to see how this dynamic goes with them because there are previews on them kind of getting into a slight tiff in the next episode. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Okay. So the episode continues on after Malia and Courtney kind of bond over Matthew faking his injury, allegedly, or really feeling it, whatever he's doing. They just glad he in there cooking. So Carrie and Clint are arguing. So Carrie is saying she doesn't want to marry him now. She gonna call his mama. Like it's a mess. Okay. So Clint, they're going back and forth. Clint is looking for a charger for his phone. The poor man just wanted a charger, but Carrie was just like, whatever. So they just drunk in love, but drunk in love and crazy and going back and forth. So the episode ends with Clint storming out of their sleeping space on the boat in their room, saying he's going to tell everybody on the boat that they're not getting married. He's like, I'm not marrying you, or she's like, I'm not marrying you, and all this, that, and the third. Hopefully they can sleep off the alcohol, the wedding gets done, and that is done. So in conclusion, I don't know what to think about this new cast. It's too early to tell. I don't know. I will say I do like Katie. I think she's going to be a great new chief stew. Um I don't know what to think yet. Okay. So Courtney, I do like her. She seems like she's very outspoken. She's gonna speak her mind. Lexi, you seem a little fake. You schmoozing with the chef and all that. You got the I'm the pretty girl vibe going, and you think people are prejudging you because you were Miss Bahamas or whatever the case may be, which I don't think anybody is even thinking about that. They just want to get the work done so they can get their tip child at the end of this daggone charter. So we'll see how this goes. I am excited to see some people of color on the cast. I like Z as well. I think Z is really he's very green, as he continues to say, but I think that he's going to do whatever it takes to learn. He seems like he really wants to learn. He had his notepad and everything. I just hope that Malia doesn't take anybody prisoner and try to throw somebody under the bus this season. I just want Malia to do her job, mind her business, and stay out of other people's crap. That's what I want to see Malia do, because she's just every season that she's been on, she been in the middle of some BS. Okay. And leave David alone. He don't know what he getting himself into. I don't know if they gonna end up child smooching, and I don't know. I don't know what's going to go on. But I'm interested to see how this season goes. There's some previews alluding to there being a slight tiff between Captain Sandy and Malia, which I don't believe it. Sometimes they just put this stuff together to kind of just to keep you engaged. But I'm interested to see how this season is going to go. I really want to see Katie's performance. I want to see how I'm always interested to see that first um crew hangout time, just to kind of see how everybody interacts with each other. So we'll see. It's up in the air right now. I think episode 3 is really going to highlight how the dynamics are going to be, who has formed alliances, who's going to be friends with who, if there's going to be any relationships sparked. We'll see. We shall see. All right, y'all. Well, I will see y'all in the next video. Ciao.